Oh my God, I've got to keep everybody away because if they start talking when she's out there using her platform, be proud of who you are, work hard.
Behind the polished image of the modern royal family, tensions and long-buried secrets are beginning to resurface. Reports suggest a new book by Sarah Ferguson could unsettle Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, reopening stories many believed were quietly buried during the scandals linked to Prince Andrew. What began as a routine memoir now hints at private conversations, fragile loyalties, and family fractures the palace hoped would remain hidden. So what exactly did Ferguson reveal that has suddenly left Harry and Meghan worried behind the scenes today? The memoir that could shake the royal narrative. A quiet but powerful story is unfolding around Sarah Ferguson, known to many as Fergie, and it may soon challenge the carefully shaped royal narratives that have dominated headlines in recent years. For a long time, she told friends she would never write a sensational tell-all book about the royal family. Yet the circumstances surrounding her life today suggest that promise may be far harder to keep than she once believed. In recent months, reports have circulated that publishers are offering enormous sums for a deeply revealing memoir. The reason is simple. Few insiders possess the kind of perspective Ferguson does. Once firmly inside the royal circle, she witnessed decades of private moments, shifting alliances, and family conflicts that the public rarely sees. That kind of knowledge has become extremely valuable in an era where royal stories generate global fascination. At the same time, Ferguson's lifestyle has drawn increasing attention. She has been traveling frequently, moving from one luxury destination to another. Observers noted her stay at an exclusive wellness retreat in Zurich, where rooms reportedly cost around £13,000 a night. Soon after, she appeared at a high-end spa hotel in Ireland, continuing a pattern of high-profile trips. There were also whispers of visits to the Middle East as she explored possible financial opportunities. Behind the glamorous travel, however, insiders suggest a more complicated reality. Without a stable source of income tied to royal duties, Ferguson has had to find new ways to sustain her lifestyle. That is why the offers for a memoir, rumored to be extremely generous, have become so significant. Royal commentator Kinsey Schofield recently suggested that the possibility of Ferguson telling her story could send shockwaves through another part of the royal saga. According to Schofield, such a book might introduce a perspective that the public has never fully heard before. For several years now, the global conversation about the monarchy has largely been shaped by Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. After their move to the United States in 2020, the couple began sharing their experiences through powerful media platforms, including deals with Spotify and Netflix, along with Harry's best-selling memoir published in 2023. These projects presented their personal interpretation of royal life, reaching millions of viewers and readers around the world. The royal family itself chose mostly silence, refusing to publicly challenge many of the claims that circulated in interviews and documentaries. That silence allowed Harry and Meghan's version of events to stand largely uncontested. But Ferguson represents something different. Unlike many royal insiders, she is not bound by the same expectations of loyalty or restraint. If financial pressure continues to grow and a lucrative publishing deal remains on the table, the temptation to speak openly could become impossible to resist. Should that moment arrive, the world may discover that the royal story still has chapters waiting to be told, and perhaps a few surprises no one saw coming. When Meghan Markle entered the royal world in 2016, Sarah Ferguson unexpectedly became one of her first confidants. But how did Fergie's unique position, close yet free, shape Meghan and Harry's early royal journey? The secrets Meghan trusted to Fergie. When Meghan Markle first stepped into Britain's royal world in 2016, few people realized that one of her earliest confidants inside the monarchy was not a senior royal at all, but Sarah Ferguson, the famously unpredictable Duchess of York. Known to many simply as Fergie, she had long lived on the edges of royal life, close enough to know its secrets yet distant enough to speak freely about them. and that unusual position may now place Meghan Markle and Prince Harry in an uncomfortable spotlight. During the early days of Meghan's relationship with Harry, she arrived in London as an outsider trying to understand the complex rules of royal society. According to royal watchers, it was Fergie who quietly extended a welcoming hand. The Duchess had once navigated the same complicated palace corridors herself after marrying Prince Andrew, and she understood better than most how overwhelming royal life could feel. What began as friendly guidance soon turned into something deeper. Insiders have long suggested that Meghan felt comfortable opening up to Fergie, sharing personal thoughts and frustrations about her sudden entry into the royal spotlight. At the time, it likely seemed harmless, a private exchange between two women who understood the pressure of living under relentless public scrutiny. But history shows that Fergie has never been afraid to tell stories, even when those stories come with consequences. Years earlier, she shocked the royal circle when she revealed a playful but embarrassing anecdote involving her close friendship with Diana, Princess of Wales. In one of her books, Ferguson recalled borrowing Diana's shoes and jokingly blamed them for giving her foot warts. What sounded like a harmless confession reportedly damaged their friendship, proving how easily private royal moments can become public drama once they appear in print. That memory now raises an unsettling question. If Fergie was willing to share intimate stories about Diana, one of the most beloved figures in modern royal history, what might she reveal about Meghan? Some royal commentators even suggest that the story behind Harry and Meghan's romance may be more complicated than the public has been told. A quiet theory has circulated for years that Meghan's earliest connections within the royal orbit came through Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie, daughters of Sarah Ferguson. According to this view, the York sisters may have played a subtle role in helping Meghan enter Harry's social circle before their relationship became public. Whether that version of events is accurate or not, the possibility alone adds intrigue to Ferguson's rumored writing projects. As an experienced author with a long history of royal connections, she sits on a treasure chest of memories and conversations that few others witnessed. And if even a fraction of those stories ever appear in a future book, the carefully guarded narrative surrounding Harry and Meghan's early days together could suddenly face a very different spotlight. The Sussexes have shared their story across Netflix, Spotify, and global headlines, shaping public perception of royal life. But what about the untold details? What secrets might a new memoir finally reveal? And how could it change everything insiders thought they knew? The story behind the stories. What truly unsettles palace insiders is not simply the idea of another royal memoir. It is the possibility that a different version of events might finally reach the public. For years, the narrative surrounding Prince Harry and Meghan Markle has traveled across the world through major platforms like Netflix and Spotify. Since their move to California in 2020, the couple has built a powerful media presence, sharing their perspective on royal life, family tensions, and the reasons behind their dramatic exit from the United Kingdom. But within royal circles, some quietly wonder whether those stories represent the full picture, or simply one carefully shaped side of it. That uncertainty is exactly why the thought of a memoir from Sarah Ferguson, better known as Fergie, creates such intense curiosity. Unlike distant commentators who rely on rumor, she stands unusually close to the events that reshaped the modern monarchy. Her connections run deep, her friendships stretch across decades, and her family ties place her within conversations that rarely reach the public eye. In royal storytelling, proximity matters, and few people possess more of it. One reason is her daughter, Princess Eugenie, who has remained quietly loyal to Harry even as relationships inside the royal family grew strained. During the turbulent period surrounding the couple's departure from royal duties, Eugenie's connection to them did not fade. In fact, she temporarily lived at Frogmore Cottage, the residence once occupied by Harry and Meghan. This was not a brief visit or a ceremonial appearance. She spent time inside the home, surrounded by the environment where many private conversations unfolded, conversations that may never have been intended for the public. Those details matter because memoirs thrive on perspective. When Harry released his 2023 book Spare, it offered his personal recollection of family conflicts and private discussions. The couple's widely watched 2021 interview with Oprah Winfrey also shaped global opinion, presenting deeply emotional claims about life inside the monarchy. Yet every story, especially within a complicated family, contains multiple viewpoints. This is why speculation around a potential Ferguson memoir continues to grow. Observers believe she could reveal how certain decisions unfolded behind closed doors, perhaps explaining tensions that outsiders have only guessed at. Others wonder whether she might describe moments that challenge or expand upon the Sussex narrative that audiences already know. Whether such revelations ever appear in print remains uncertain, but the possibility alone highlights something fascinating about royal history. The truth is rarely contained in a single account. Instead, it lives in overlapping memories, personal loyalties, and untold conversations waiting for the right moment and the right storyteller to bring them into the light. The British royal family's public image appears flawless, yet behind closed doors, loyalties shifted and friendships strained after Harry and Meghan's 2020 exit. But what private conversations and unseen tensions have quietly reshaped the family's story since then? Secrets, loyalty, and the quiet storm behind palace walls. The story unfolding around the British royal family has never been as simple as the polished photographs and ceremonial appearances suggest. Behind the gates of royal residences and the carefully managed public statements, loyalties have quietly shifted, friendships have been tested, and private conversations may now hold the power to reshape long-running tensions. Much of the current unease traces back to the period after Prince Harry and Meghan Markle stepped away from royal duties in 2020 and began building a new life in California. In the years that followed, their interviews, documentaries, and Harry's memoir added fresh chapters to a deeply complicated family story. Yet one factor has made their version of events especially powerful: the royal family's long-standing habit of silence. By refusing to publicly dispute many of the claims, the palace has allowed certain narratives to travel around the world largely unanswered. But within the royal circle, not everyone drifted away from the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. One person whose loyalty has remained surprisingly strong is Princess Eugenie. Even as relationships between Harry and other relatives grew distant, Eugenie appeared to maintain a quiet bridge between the old world he left behind and the new life he was creating. Their bond has shown itself in small but revealing moments. In 2022, Eugenie was spotted attending the Super Bowl with Harry in the United States, a rare public appearance that reminded observers their friendship had survived the royal rift. At other times, she and her husband, Jack Brooksbank, were reportedly seen visiting the Sussexes in Montecito, California, where the couple settled after leaving Britain. Their connection runs deeper than occasional visits. During the early months of the global pandemic in 2020, Eugenie and Brooksbank spent time living at Frogmore Cottage, the residence previously occupied by Harry and Meghan before their departure from royal life. The home still contained many of the Sussexes' belongings at the time, including personal items and private papers. For some observers, this unusual arrangement suggested a level of trust that went beyond typical family courtesy. At the center of this web of relationships stands Eugenie's mother, Sarah Ferguson, the Duchess of York. Ferguson has long been one of the most unpredictable figures connected to the monarchy. Over the years, her life has included both moments of charm and episodes of controversy, including past accusations involving cash-for-access scandals that damaged her reputation. Because of her close relationship with her daughters, many royal watchers believe Ferguson may now sit near a vault of untold stories. Whether those details come directly from Eugenie, from private conversations within the family, or from her own observations over decades inside royal circles, the possibility alone has sparked curiosity. And that possibility is precisely what makes the latest whispers so intriguing. If even a fraction of those private insights were ever revealed publicly, they could reopen old wounds and shift the delicate balance of royal narratives once again, leaving Harry and Meghan wondering how many secrets from the past might still be waiting to surface. Sarah Ferguson has long been known for her lavish lifestyle, mounting debts, and bold, sometimes desperate decisions. But what truly drove her choices? Was it financial pressure, personal ambition, or something deeper from her past? The book that could shake the palace. Money has a strange way of stirring bold decisions, and few figures in the royal orbit understand that better than Sarah Ferguson. For years, the Duchess of York, better known to many simply as Fergie, has carried a reputation that follows her like a shadow. Extravagant spending, mounting debts, and a lifestyle that often seemed far larger than the resources behind it. Across British newspapers and television discussions, the word desperate has appeared beside her name more than once. And desperation, as history often proves, can inspire some of the most dramatic moves imaginable. Imagine the attention a tell-all book could generate. A memoir packed with royal secrets, especially those touching the turbulent story of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, would ignite global headlines overnight. Publishers would compete fiercely for the rights. Television networks would rush to secure interviews. By the time a book tour stretched from London to New York, the project could become a worldwide media spectacle. For someone facing long-standing financial pressure, that kind of deal might look less like temptation and more like salvation. Yet the situation is far more complicated than a simple publishing opportunity. Fergie's life remains deeply tied to the fortunes of her former husband, Prince Andrew. Since the storm surrounding the late financier Jeffrey Epstein intensified in the late 2010s, particularly after Epstein's 2019 arrest and death, the Duke of York has faced a relentless wave of scrutiny and scandal. Any book revealing private royal conversations could easily drag those controversies back into the spotlight, reopening wounds the monarchy has struggled to close. Within palace circles, another powerful figure is watching closely: Prince William. As the future king, William has reportedly grown increasingly determined to distance the monarchy from controversies linked to the York branch of the family. Reports and commentary have suggested he is no longer eager to maintain the same level of support for Andrew's daughters, Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie, especially after revelations that raised uncomfortable questions about past associations. That shifting royal dynamic creates a tense backdrop for any potential memoir. If William truly intends to tighten the institution's public image, then a book filled with inside stories could arrive at the worst possible moment for the palace. Yet from Fergie's perspective, the calculation might look very different. When financial lifelines disappear and doors quietly close, a dramatic project promising millions of readers becomes hard to ignore. And there lies the real intrigue. A single manuscript, written with honesty, revenge, or perhaps simple survival in mind, could ripple through the royal family in ways few other actions could. If the Duchess of York ever decides to put pen to paper, the result would not just be another celebrity memoir. It could become one of the most talked about royal revelations of the modern era, the kind of book that readers devour while the palace braces for every page. Sarah Ferguson has survived scandal, financial troubles, and relentless scrutiny while staying close to Prince Andrew. But what secrets does her upcoming memoir reveal, and how could it shake the royal family to its core? A royal memoir that could shake the palace. Few things unsettle royal circles more than a tell-all book, especially when the author knows the family's secrets from the inside. That possibility now hangs over the British royal world as Sarah Ferguson, widely known as Sarah Ferguson, quietly prepares what could become one of the most talked-about memoirs in years. And the potential consequences stretch far beyond a few uncomfortable headlines. For decades, Ferguson has remained closely tied to her former husband, Prince Andrew. Their relationship has survived scandal, financial trouble, and relentless public scrutiny. Yet a memoir has the power to reopen old wounds. Any honest reflection on their life together could easily touch on Andrew's lifestyle, decisions, and the controversies that have followed him for years. Even carefully chosen words might reveal details the palace would prefer to keep buried. But the real intrigue lies in what direction Ferguson might take. A memoir can serve many purposes: self-defense, reputation repair, or even financial survival. Publishing deals in recent years have proven extremely lucrative, and the temptation to deliver dramatic revelations is hard to ignore. When personal pressures meet a major book contract, loyalty sometimes becomes negotiable. That possibility has likely caught the attention of another royal couple watching events unfold from across the Atlantic. Since stepping back from royal duties in 2020, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle have built a global brand centered on their departure from the monarchy. From their home in Montecito, their public narrative has often framed them as figures who broke free from an institution they felt misunderstood them. Yet a memoir from someone who spent decades inside royal life could complicate that story. If Ferguson were to portray the couple as calculating, difficult, or less truthful than they claim, the damage might extend beyond public image. Their documentaries, interviews, and publishing projects depend heavily on the credibility of their narrative. A conflicting insider account could raise uncomfortable questions. This is why the idea of Ferguson's memoir is already stirring speculation across royal watchers. The Duchess of York has long shown an ability to navigate scandal with surprising resilience. Since the late 1980s, she has reinvented herself repeatedly: author, media personality, and survivor of public controversy. A book released at the right moment could once again place her at the center of the global conversation. Whether it shields old allies, exposes uncomfortable realities, or reshapes the public perception of the royal family, one thing seems certain: when an insider finally decides to speak, the echoes rarely stop at the palace gates. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle crafted a carefully controlled story of their royal exit, shaping the world's view from London to California. But what happens when someone inside the royal circle, like Sarah Ferguson, decides to reveal a side no one has seen before? Could her perspective rewrite everything we thought we knew? The memoir that could shake the Sussex story. For years, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle have carefully shaped the story the world hears about their royal exit. Through interviews, documentaries, and high-profile deals, they built a powerful narrative that traveled from London to California. But what happens when someone from inside the royal circle decides to tell a very different version of events? One unexpected figure may hold that power: Sarah Ferguson, the Duchess of York. Known to many as Fergie, she has spent decades orbiting the royal family, witnessing private tensions that rarely reach the public eye. Unlike many palace insiders, she has never been afraid of the spotlight or the publishing world. In fact, writing books has long been part of her survival. The timing could not be more delicate. In recent years, the Sussex brand has relied heavily on media partnerships. Their large deal with Netflix helped deliver the documentary series released in 2022, while their relationship with Spotify ended abruptly in 2023. In the world of streaming and publishing, reputation is everything. If audiences start to question whether every claim in the Sussex story was accurate, the value of that brand could quickly weaken. That is why whispers around a possible Ferguson memoir have captured so much attention. She is not just another commentator or distant royal observer. She was once part of the inner circle at Windsor and Balmoral, sharing family holidays and private conversations that outsiders never heard. Few people move between the worlds of royal loyalty and personal independence the way she does. There is also a practical reality behind the speculation. Publishing has often provided Ferguson with both income and a chance to reshape how the public sees her. A deeply personal book revealing unseen moments of royal life could attract enormous global interest. And if those pages included fresh perspectives about Harry and Meghan's departure from royal duties in 2020, the impact would be impossible to ignore. For the Sussexes, controlling their own narrative has been central to their strategy. Yet some stories cannot be managed from afar. If Ferguson ever decides to speak openly about what she witnessed behind palace doors, from the quiet corridors of Frogmore Cottage to the tense family discussions that followed the royal split, the result could rewrite the public conversation entirely. In the unpredictable world of royal storytelling, the next chapter may not belong to Harry or Meghan at all. It might belong to Fergie. So what do you think? Did Sarah Ferguson just expose a secret that could shake Harry and Meghan's world? We'd like to hear your thoughts. Don't forget to share them in the comments.